Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. You're here on the roof. It's quite windy, so my picture will sometimes go a bit up and down because the computer is moving. On top of that, just beyond our compound wall, there's a big truck with stones that they are slowly discharging. So there may be quite some talk coming from that side. Never mind. We can use all the sense perceptions. We can very easily, out of habit, get lost in the sense perceptions. And then in the thoughts about it, in the emotions. We can get lost in our daydreams, whatever we are thinking. But when we try to concentrate, then there are often sense perceptions that we feel they are disturbing. But we can learn not to feel disturbed, but if they are intrusive, use them. If there is noise, instead of resisting against the fact that there is noise, we can bring the attention really to the hearing. Hear the noise, pleasant sounds, unpleasant sounds. And then focus the attention on that which makes the experience possible. Actually, it's a kind of self-inquiry. What is it that hears? In my story, there was a time of shift, a period where it kept on shifting. And for some time in this period, it was as if it was arranged by the Divine Mother that it was always noisy and always this very unpleasant noise. There was a lot of construction going on and a lot of these machines that make a lot of hammering on metal. And I tried to somehow focus, but then I learned to just let go, relax, and focus the attention on the hearing. As it was very intrusive, it was better, instead of trying to screen it out, to just focus on it. And in that way, I learned to use the sounds, and funny enough, especially unpleasant sounds, where the personality out of habit usually would say, no, don't like it. Accept them. And then in that acceptance, just go along with the sound deep in our own resources. We can use every moment. We can get lost in the moment. We can resist against the moment. We can get annoyed about the situation, or we can use the situation. the sense perception, what we are hearing, what we are seeing, what we are smelling or tasting or touching. We can go along with those perceptions right to the source, to that pure consciousness, that pure consciousness, life, love, that makes the experience possible. When we sit quiet and then remember that, and there's a lot of disturbance around, then we can use that. And there it's, if that decision is there, it's relatively easy not to forget and to make use of it. After that, it's a bit more difficult in the day-to-day life situation, where there always will come annoying moments to remember, instead of feeding annoyance, instead of getting swept away with reactions, old habitual reactions, we can just accept the situation and relax. And if the situation creates tensions, use that tension instead of reacting emotionally. Use the energy of the tension to just bring the attention back to the center. The center means that sense of presence that is there prior to the sensations, prior to all thoughts, prior to all experiences. It has to be there. Without that, there is no perception, no thought, no feeling, no experience. So every experience we can learn to make use of. Turn it in a sort of self-inquiry. Or even if somebody who doesn't like self-inquiry, who doesn't feel like doing self-inquiry, just be with the sensation and breathe and relax. And then the same things that had the power previous to really pull us out of our peace, out of our balance, they lose that power because we just accept them as they are and make use of them to turn the attention back to that sense of presence, that which makes the experience possible. Then life becomes practice, conscious practice, no matter where we are, whether we are alone or with people, whether we sit quietly or walk or run. And that feeling of wasting lots of our time disappears because we don't. All right, and that brings me to the question that Marie has written to me. As she's doing self-inquiry, she asked, but self-inquiry can be done in so many different ways. And is it okay that we shift a bit from the different types of self-inquiry, or should we pick out one way to go about it and stay with it in order to make it more powerful and go deeper? I would recommend you, Marie, that you choose your basic approach, your basic way, how we are practicing self-inquiry. But then spontaneously, as the situation arises and as if it happens spontaneously, naturally, that your inquiry shifts a bit in the flavor, how you are going about, then by all means, go for it, use it, and come to the same. But be careful that you don't start to make it in an issue that is disturbing you. Not when you sit down that you start to wonder, what kind of inquiry should I now practice? Or even when you remember during daytime to inquire, don't waste your time and energy then wondering about how should I inquire. Have your standard way to go about it. That it comes, and then it comes spontaneously, automatically. But then you don't have to put somehow like limits that only like this you can go about it if it just happens by itself. That the situation spontaneously opens up, that you are doing your inquiry in a different way, then don't resist, don't sabotage it, thinking it's maybe no good because basically I would inquire in another way, but just go with it and let that situation, that moment, the way you go about it, carry your attention back to that sense of presence, that which is prior to all notions and ideas, how to go about it, to that pure consciousness, energy, love. Okay, I don't think I need to tell more about this. So I stop talking and I'm asking you, my friends, is there anybody who is ready to already come in? You're welcome.
Yes, I am.
Come. Ah, hello, Maria.
Hi.
Are you back from your retreat?
Hi, yes, just came back yesterday night.
I see.
Yeah. My questions are around the usual topic of the thoughts. Yeah, it's so I had the round of several days at the beginning. Again, it was like opening a tap.
Yeah, right.
And just flooding. Flooding with, again, very aggressive kind of thinking. But since now it has happened quite a few times, I think I'm getting used to it somehow.
So you're prepared when it comes.
I am kind of prepared. It's like, okay, they're coming.
There we go again.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, I feel there is progress, always in a mysterious way. I find progress. I felt I got far less times into the shame and guilt about it.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
That's that I'm very grateful, and thank you for your help on this, because that has been, when we've talked about this, always has me to de-dramatize.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's true that when it's happening, because now as I talk about it, I can talk about it very lightheartedly.
Yes.
But when it's happening, it feels so real, so real.
Yeah.
That's the trap. And this time I felt a bit more detached, definitely far less reactions of shame and guilt. And what remains with me is the question of, I mean, in your experience, where do these thoughts come from? Because my conscious self does not wish that. I do not wish to think that way. So when I talk to people about this, they say past lives, the mind carries stuff from past lives, and the collective unconscious, the human, just being a human seems to bring this about. And I don't want to make it complicated, you know, I don't want to try to analyze in detail, but I just wonder whether learning a bit more about this could help me handle this. Because at one level, I feel responsible also for this thinking. So, yeah.
Yes, so I don't think we have to go and search that far. Of course, we are connected with the whole human consciousness and subconsciousness, and it's a formidable thing. And there is a lot of influence from that side. But we have grown up in a world where there is so much darkness and light. But then the unpleasant aspects, we had the tendency, instead of somehow assimilate what has happened and deal with it and neutralize it. Leora, can you please turn off your microphone? You are slightly interfering. Okay. We grow up in that soup and take up a lot of stuff, much more than we think. But somehow we don't want to deal with it because it's unpleasant and have the tendency to suppress it. And there it's still lingering and disturbing and somehow waiting for a chance to come to the surface. So certainly the whole human consciousness has an influence. Whatever you have already brought when you manifested in this world has an influence, but most of that stuff that suddenly comes up like this is also stuff that we have accumulated when we have been children, when we grew up. And somehow it's necessary to face it, not necessary to analyze it, but just experience it and let it come up, and then learning what you're doing now. Learn to detach from it. Even if you don't know exactly where it's coming from, after all, in the moment, it doesn't matter at all. When you have those aggressive thoughts, then you have to deal with it, no matter whether it's coming from outer space or from your own subconscious. And that is what matters, that you learn to deal with it in such a way that it's not overwhelming you and that you are not, again, suppressing it. Maria, you are muted now.
Yes. Because you know, I come from such a moralistic background.
Yeah.
So the responsibility, I feel that responsibility I have not to think those thoughts.
Yes.
So what you are telling me is that they actually need to come out, and I actually need to be aware of that and detach from that. That's, let's say, that would be the responsibility, would be that. Is that?
It's mainly energetic, emotional stuff that comes up, which we then out of habit form into lots of thoughts. So there may be also particular situations that come up, memories, and their thoughts are already very knitted into it. But often it's more like energy and emotions that are charged with energy, and then that invariably kindles a certain type of thoughts.
Yeah.
So don't be moralistic about it. Just see, okay, I'm capable. I don't like it. I didn't even think what I'm capable of thinking, all the stuff that comes up.
Yeah.
Then don't try to stop it. Instead of that, just try to be aware of it, observe. And then suddenly they don't matter so much. They come and you are not recharging them more with energy that creates more disturbance for the future, but it comes up, you see what is happening, you learn to relax in it, and it disappears, and every time the charge that you are carrying with you is getting lighter.
You know that in the practice I do, in the shaking practice, the core of the practice is to focus on the picture of our teacher, Ratu,
Yes.
as a channel of divine energy. And that the key thing is to focus on him. And well, then it's very free in many ways, because there are moments where for me it's just focus and feel the body, feel the Kundalini wakes up and then moves the body, and to allow the free movement of the body with that Kundalini. And sometimes for me, I turn it into prayer, is please help me to purify my mind, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what is happening as these thoughts come. Sometimes it's just impossible to say the mantra. Sometimes it's just impossible to focus. So it's like a dance between all these elements and the body as well. And yeah, I just, sometimes it's so confusing.
Right. Don't try to resolve it on the level of the mind. Try to somehow think your way out of it. But rather accept, okay, so don't, what you are already doing, don't feel guilty about it. Okay, it's there. So it is still there. So it has to come up. Better it comes up. And while then doing so, be aware how you are experiencing, how you are feeling at that present moment. And then this aggression and whatever other kinds of emotions come up that you don't exactly appreciate, then you see them, you experience them fully, but learn to relax, and then the charge is disappearing.
Disappears. Because, you know, in the past I had more memories of an event has happened. Yeah, there was
Yes.
something, an exchange which was unpleasant, and then the thought would come of because that person or I did, or you know.
Yes.
But now I hardly have any of those.
Yeah.
So there is nothing specific. It's as if you have somebody with a very bad temper inside who just seems to dislike everything and want to destroy. That's the kind of thinking. And yeah, it's like there is nothing specific. I also wonder whether probably is connected as well to the fact that I was brought up to be a good girl. You know, so being very pleasing. That was like millions of women of my generation at the time as well. So it was, we were trained to be very submissive.
Yeah.
And invest an enormous amount of energy into pleasing others. So later on, when I started meditation, I realized that had produced an enormous amount of anger inside. There was a lot of anger held. And there are times where I feel perhaps it's also part still of this process of, because when I feel in my power in a healthy way, this usually doesn't happen.
Right, right. It's not that you consciously want to be like this, but it's good to accept, okay, those aspects are there in me, in my manifestation, and they are still active and they are charged. So never mind that they happen, never mind that it's not finished. Okay, we continue when it's necessary, let it come and deal with it and relax and don't feel bad about it. And then it's getting lighter and lighter.
Okay.
It's not that you are on a way do now become holier and holier and holier according to the image what has been put in our mind, what is holy. It's more that you become more and more aware that you are whole, that you are complete. And that has nothing to do with any moral values, it's just natural. So we can detach from all that conditioning that has been put in us, that may have had a role to play to give us a certain direction how to behave. But as you say, it has also made you create a lot of anger inside because a certain role was forced on you that was not natural always.
Yes.
And there's no point in regretting that or being angry about that, but okay, that is the fact that, that there are still residues, so let them come up and get rid of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Werner. Thank you.
Wish you well. Wish you well back in England. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
I see Anita. Hello, Anita.
Hello, Werner. Yes, I said I would come back today and ask about this subject of this Kundalini awakening.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know all about this, but I just have friends and they are into that, and maybe I just like to understand, and maybe you can help with some getting clear of this subject. And it's there are these Kundalini teachers who just say that many people are awakened, but often they talk it with awakening in sense of it has to be a Kundalini awakening, and they say that often the Kundalini stops in the heart, and the person who has that enjoys so much the love and thinks that's it and doesn't go further. And with some it gets stuck here, and then these are the masters who are in love with the mind, but the real awakening is only happening if it's pierced through the seventh chakra. I'm laughing or smiling because I don't believe in this concept, but anyway, I'm open to whatever there is. I don't know. But so the question is awakening really connected with this Kundalini only? And the other question would be then, what is awakening really? But I mean, you answered that quite a few times also, but yeah.
Okay, Kundalini. It's a tricky subject. And if you want to get information about Kundalini, and then you read the people who talk about it from what they have learned or from what they have experienced, then you will be astonished to find out that everyone tells another story. And you can get quite confused that there is such a thing like an energetic change. When we start to become more conscious, then somehow the energy that we are manifesting in this psychophysical manifestation is changing. And it often has to do that the energy from the lower part of the body starts to flow up more and activates more parts of the upper part of the body. But how this is manifesting is very different from one to another. And you can read texts that give you extremely detailed descriptions what is supposed to happen, and when that and that happens, then you will have that experience, and this is accomplished, and. At a certain point in my life, the energy really dramatically changed along first with a lot of external drama that was happening and difficulties that I had to go through. And then once I realized that it's just a big game, I have to somehow stop fighting and relax and observe, then really the energy consciously started to change a lot in the body. And that after that, out of curiosity, I was reading classical Kundalini awakening texts like The Serpent Power of Woodruff and books like this. And I thought it is all very nice what they are writing. It's all very poetic, and they're describing every chakra, how it looks and what petals, how many petals it has, and what kind of Sanskrit letter is on each petal. Hey, don't make such a noise. Oh. And I thought it's very nice. The whole thing was in a way fascinating, but I couldn't really relate to that. For me, it was much more simply energetically. Somehow something changed and changed the function of this psychophysical manifestation, that it becomes a better instrument to be quiet, to connect. And in that sense, yes, I agree that such energetic awakening has to happen. But if people do Kundalini exercises, they will be very conscious of it, because it may produce a lot of experiences. But if you are of any other approach, that energetic change also will happen. And it may be such a gentle, slow process that you are absolutely not aware of it. Without dramatic Kundalini experiences, without big stories, that the energy slowly changes in such a way that you are not even aware that your whole manifestation keeps changing and actually preparing that it is possible that a new awareness can manifest, and not just as a glimpse, but stay there and be actually much more powerful without any bad effect on the system. For most of the bodies, they would not be ready for such a thing. Most of the nervous systems would not be ready for such a thing. They may have glimpses, and then they have to let it go because it would be too much for the nervous system. So an energetic transformation is required, but it can be such a gentle process that you never even think of Kundalini. And when people say, but many people have already an awakened Kundalini, I would say everybody's Kundalini is at least a little bit awake, because otherwise he wouldn't be consciously alive. It's that life force that makes the life in a human body possible. It's not something apart from your life force. It's your life force. But then, as the usual level of consciousness of humanity is, and as we are brought up in that, it's usually quite without our having an idea that we are doing that, but we are locking it quite strongly in and limited. And then when we start to become more conscious, then those limitations that are there are slowly disappearing. And there we may have all kinds of experiences. Some people have very strong Kundalini experiences, feeling that energy shooting up and doing all kinds of things, and others just gently feel that there is a general increased sense of well-being there in the manifestation. So I wouldn't get confused when people tell you things and think and then try to analyze yourself and where am I standing now and what is happening to me in reference to that Kundalini. If you are not particularly interested in working directly with the Kundalini, you don't have to think that you are missing your awakening because of that.
No, but that means there is such thing as an awakening, because I hear you often say there is not such thing as awakening.
Right, there is and there is not, because essentially you are already that, and that essential being that you are is awake. But our conscious experience as a human being has very much forgotten about that and diminished, and there on that level you can say there is an awakening. Simply I'm careful with all these expressions because it's taught as something that you can get somehow very easy from a teacher, or when you do this or you do that, and then people have that notion and then they experience some little thing and then they jump to the conclusion, oh, that's the awakening. So it's better not to hold on too much to that concept. You just are conscious and alert. And if you find yourself in a new perspective, you don't jump to conclusion, oh, that's this or that's that, but happy that you are there. And from there, you keep on being alert and you keep on unfolding.
So that means that if people raise their energy or get more aware, is always connected with the Kundalini, but you don't have to name it that, or you don't have to concentrate on that. But still, it is, if there is an awakening happening, it's something which physically manifests in an energy moving up. Is
Right.
that, can you say that?
It moves up and then it distributes to the whole system and helps the system to become somehow more sensitive and more strong also. Many who talk about Kundalini think when that energy reaches the top of the head, then that's the final enlightenment. But no, you can just have that energy flow up, and when it reaches the top, it becomes very peaceful. And actually from there, you don't settle down there and think that's now the all there is, but then you make that into your new base and are open for what is to come beyond that. You can say if somebody is totally identified with their day-to-day life, like most of the people, and then they start to have more doubts, there could be something else. And they start to look for something more profound. This in itself is already a certain awakening from being so totally absorbed in that dream to become aware, hey, there could be more. This already you can call a certain awakening.
Mhm.
And that awakening process that keeps on going on. That basically each time where you are really going deeper into your own resources, it's like a little new awakening. It's possible that at a certain time your attention really rotates in a totally new perspective that may be going on over a period, or it may be actually from one moment to another. And then if the being is prepared, if the body also and the manifestation is prepared, it's possible that it remains there. Otherwise, it's just a glimpse, an experience, and it goes again. It has to go because the manifestation couldn't stand it. And then some people say that's a momentary rise of the Kundalini, an activation of the Kundalini. You can call it like this, but you need not call it like this. But that new perspective can be established and you don't lose it. Somehow one has to be prepared. And the process of preparing has, in a way, again and again, new awakenings. So people who talk about their big awakening and broadcast it to the public, they may have had something, but then instead of making a big fuss about it, would be better to be grateful for that and continue. Specific Kundalini practices, it's better if we do those with people who are quite experienced in it, because one can awake energies that one is not quite capable of dealing with. And if we don't have then somebody who understands what's going on, it can be quite disturbing and create difficulties.
Mhm. And actually raising the energy, what does it mean? I mean, now to leave the subject, I don't want to connect it with Kundalini or anything, because I don't know about this, but thank you for this extensive answer anyway. But about this raising the energy, what does it actually mean? Is it becoming more conscious? Is that raising the energy?
By becoming more conscious, the energy will rise automatically more into the whole system. Yes,
What does
they are connected.
Mm.
What did you want to?
What does it really mean to raise the energy? I mean, I would say it like be more positive, be more heartful, mindful.
Right. You raise the quality of the energy of the consciousness by being more open towards the lightful. And that is everything that makes you become more aware that you are connected with life, with living beings, and to bring the quality of the energy and the consciousness we are dealing with down is all that is making our experience smaller and more focused only on me, I, me, mine, and to hell with the whole rest.
I mean, for me, the experience is, and I don't know to what it is really connected, that in the past I have the impression I got more conscious, more aware, more mindful. But at the same time, I feel I'm very sensitive, and even more sensitive to outside energies. And I'm actually having really kind of trouble with it. I'm like having a dizziness it's quite the time now, and so I think maybe to ground, or I don't know what to do really. And I think also it's the, I'm living in the city, and you know, we have a lot of these frequencies of the mobile and everything, and I really believe it's how you say, it's confronting. I'm confronted with it a lot, and I don't know how to, because you said if you raise, Kundalini, whatever the energy, you get more stronger, but I have the feeling I get more weaker. In sense of that, I feel also people's energy a lot, and yeah, I don't know how to handle this.
Right. I understand. And becoming more sensitive doesn't mean that you become weaker, but you have to be careful that with the increasing sensitivity that you become stronger. And what does it mean to become stronger? It means that you become more transparent, that you are not more holding those energies that assault you into your system, but that as they come, that you're learning more and more to center and relax, that as they come, they also go again. And of course, you're right. It's very intense, all these energies from the phones, from all that chapter that comes along with. On top of it, there is now a lot of other stuff in the atmosphere, and especially in a place where many people are, that are assaulting our system. It's a fact. And it's good if you have always time that you come out, that you are aware that has again a bit charged my system, and that you learn to be by yourself and relax. And don't think that you, because you feel it more, that you're becoming weaker. It's just extremely intense right now, that assault. It is simply a fact, it's there. So much the more encouraging that we make ourselves strong. That you don't have to be afraid of going out, but maybe you don't go more into the crowds than what is needed, and then find again time by yourself where you can really be aware what's going on and consciously center and breathe and relax. And in that way, whatever is stuck in your system is also leaving again. If you can find time, if it's possible externally, it's also very helpful to go out in forests, in nature.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, trees are very helpful.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I even go barefoot, even it's very cold, but sometimes I go barefoot to earth myself.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, that's very good. That's
But
great.
still, I mean, I think I have to do it every day because it's not really helping too much.
But right, this is our very good helps. At the same time, not be afraid, have confidence in yourself, not develop more and more fear. Oh, I'm getting more sensitive, so I'm getting weaker, and then I'm getting more and more damaged by what is coming. But be conscious of your strength and have confidence in your strength. And even if it's assaulting you and is sticking, lingering around in your system, then you just be conscious that you also can get rid of it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Right now, we just don't get around it. We charge that system and let's get rid of it. But by being fearful, we make it more difficult. By being strong and confident, then we become aware, okay, it happens, but we can also let it go again and as that experience is repeating itself, the confidence also grows and your capacity to deal with it.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Wish you well. Hari Om. Hari
Hari.
Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Leora.
Mhm.
Have you
Uh,
recuperated from your recent operation?
yeah, it's been a growing process. A growing, I mean, like connected to what's been talked here also, but it was very significant. I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but I'll say something that is like, was an insight for me, that I realized that if I don't have any more, if I will not have to do it anymore, what I took a decision.
Right.
Yeah. I will have to give up the care, because I realized something very sort of shocking, that of course it's no fun to have surgery on the face and being there for hours and in and out and all the process. But they really take good care of me there. And it's connected with my biography. It's a sad, it feels sad to talk about it, but it also feels good to touch it and to hold it, like to realize how we grow. And it's connected to what specifically maybe Maria spoke about, things that happen to us and how it affects our psychology and our processing in life. I would never dream that I would be missing such attention.
Yeah.
But and this is really like growing, like really yeah, just like growing into awakening in a way. Like,
being more self-sufficient. Huh?
Okay, maybe, yeah. So
Yes.
just to mention that, but what I wanted to ask or to share is also, it's of course it's also connected, is again about radical acceptance, because specifically last night I had this experience of lots of noise coming from my neighbors who I share the wall with. I live in this apartment which is connected to the land people, and it's Saturday, like it's Friday evening, and it's like the end of the week, and it's like my time to enter. And they make so much noise. They shout. It's all the family and the children, grandchildren, whoever, and they shout. That's the way they speak. So I was reading a book, and I was every now and then I left the book and was doing some self-inquiry and yeah, whatever you spoke about. And I realized that energies didn't actually show up. It was more ideas about what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And some anger without really energy, but like I don't know how to say, but I felt there was a memory of anger a memory, because I couldn't hear the content of what, I could only hear the voices. And talking about energy, like Anita mentioned, they said, wow, but I'm really sensitive to energy. And now all this energy comes through the wall. Wow, this is really not good for me. So, but it was mainly thoughts, I can say. And this morning I thought about radical acceptance, that eventually maybe it becomes like a way of being, like a way of being, because we can practice self-inquiry, we can practice radical acceptance. I have been practicing this, but last night I didn't really practice so much. And this morning I felt, hello, radical acceptance. Now you are really part of my life. I mean, it's now becoming, or has become, maybe a way of living, like a state of being, I would say.
Yes.
State of being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That's the key. Acceptance. Acceptance does not necessarily mean that you are always behaving meekly in the situation. But if that acceptance is there, then you are not wasting all that energy resisting against the fact. It's a fact that they live beside you. It's a fact that they are the way they are, and when they communicate, they have a certain way. Better accept it. And then in the situation, like when it's really disturbing, there you can consciously pick it up as an exercise. Let me use it as an exercise of not reacting, not building up anger, or if the anger comes, then let the anger be there, but to observe the anger instead of feeding it with ideas. And then these exercises like this can make you very, very strong. If you decide, but now this is really enough, then you have also the right to go and tell them, hey, cool down a little. I mean, I'm just living behind the wall, and it's awfully, it's awfully loud what you are doing there. There's nothing wrong doing that, but basically it's good to learn to use the situation. What I told in the beginning, we can use every situation to go that much deeper in our own resources.
Yeah, of course I couldn't go on the spot to do it in the evening, and so many people there, and maybe I could talk to the landlord, because he promised to that he did the isolation for the wall, and if it's not working, he will do some more. But then I even thought that all this talking in life, they promised me and they didn't keep the promise, and sometimes things are just the way they are. And I'm so experienced with, promises and and all that part of life, which it's part of the radical acceptance. Things just don't go the way somebody promised you, or etc. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and it's not every day like that. It's maybe every second week, but not as it was yesterday. Yesterday it was special, something special. So for me, radical acceptance is also, of course, again, less reactivity, because when I react and I'm persuaded that I'm right, of course I'm right. then
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
then it takes, no, really, last night I was right. It's disturbing, but so what? It's I don't know how to express it. It's like they live their life, I live my life. It doesn't always go together.
Mhm.
I can keep on fighting. I can just like understand that sometimes things don't go the way I want them to go, or
Right.
even more, as they have to go. I mean, things have to go the way they have to go, right? This is how I was brought up. There are
Yeah.
so yeah. So I just want, if you, before you react to that, just to also say that I decided, in spite of all, I decided to go on demonstration tonight because I spoke about it in the past. And I'm afraid also because of energies, because I know I don't have a good reaction when I'm with many people around me. But I feel that it's, I don't want to go through this period now. Just not doing anything. I know if I go or if I don't go, it will not make a big change to anybody, but for myself, it's a crucial times in Israel now, absolutely crucial. And I don't know if I can say I have to be there. It's my duty to be there because I don't want to talk in such words, but it's my duty to be there.
Right.
And I'm a bit scared. I'm
Yeah.
a bit scared. Yeah.
Just to the other subject before, like you said, you couldn't go on the spot. I mean, you could go without the idea that you go for fighting, but you just could maybe, if it feels necessary, knock at the door and say, hey, today it's just a bit out of bounds, friendly, and they could at least come down a few notches. But at the same time, if you can stand it without building up more and more frustration and anger and destructive feelings, then actually it's a super exercise to be capable of dealing with it without reacting. That's for granted. Now, to the second, to what you just said. I mean, I've never said anything against going out on the road and participating in demonstrations. I simply say it's more important what you are doing inside. You said, I have to do something because it's crucial now to do something. And if you keep on bringing your attention to the essence, if you opening up to something expansive, constructive, loving, beautiful, then actually you do something and it has an effect. But if at the same time you feel it's just the right thing to do, to go out at the demonstration, then by all means go and demonstrate, be with the people. It's good to observe and not to get into destructive feelings, because violent demonstration, they don't bring anything good. It's good that in the demonstration that spirit can be kindled to open up to something more constructive and not simply to pulling down what is and destroying again more.
Yeah. Yeah, I will not go now into the whole subject, but just to say that there is so much violence,
Right.
so much violence altogether in the on the news and whatever, and between people, it's in the air. The energy,
Yes.
as you always say, actually, the energy now here is not fun.
Yes.
And yeah, and I think about people in the history, like Anna Frank or Primo Levi, or many people, Martin Luther King, or Nelson Mandela. I think about these people, and I want to touch this kind of. I'm not them. I'll never be them. But somehow I feel I want to touch this kind of courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, good. Go. Go and remain aware and stay connected with yourself as good as you can.
Yeah, and I'm not, just to clarify, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just like
No.
sharing it because, you understand that. It's just like a subject.
I didn't understand it as if you're asking for permission.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But like it's Again, it's a growing period for me nowadays.
Yes.
It's a growing period.
Actually,
altogether.
It's a possibility for everybody. It's such an intensity now, energetically manifesting around the globe, and certain places more than others, but it's there everywhere. And that gives us lots and lots of possibilities of growing, or it gives us lots of possibilities of despairing and going into a dark spiral and just disappear in darkness. But if we are not doing that, and in spite of all that is going on, keep that open, positive, constructive attitude and connect with something true, then we can in such an intensity grow a lot.
Can you just say a few words about purity?
Purity means that which is not polluted by something else.
Okay, simple. Okay.
Purity, pure consciousness is just consciousness. Pure water is water that has nothing else in it. Purity simply means that essence that is not has nothing attached to it. So purity means that you are yourself without getting all mixed up with ideas how I should be, should not be, and whatever is coming in, that you are purely, consciously yourself, a conscious living being, and let that inner beauty somehow radiate and manifest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wish you well.
Ariom.
Ariom.
Yeah, thank you. Ariom.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
These days I have a lesson of acceptance. Yes, I have. My mother is ill, and yesterday she came back from the hospital, and I feel yesterday I talked with you on the phone, and she felt very, very weak. So this medicine don't help her and make her weaker. And we offered her other things to try, some
Alternative treatments.
Yes, and some breath exercises because she has problems with her lungs.
Yeah.
Yes, and I see that she doesn't trust in these methods and in some herbs.
Yeah.
And I felt yesterday, I felt her resistance, and I felt that her weakness, and with this so strong resistance to try something else.
Yes.
And I felt in myself pain and anger simultaneously. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tried yes to offer her to try these things, and I just watched my feelings. I tried to stay calm and just insist so much, but when I put on the phone, I felt so strong resistance and or so strong anger in myself, how I react, because her weak voice and this like she's a victim and don't want to do anything. I just learned to not to attach to this so much.
Yes.
And understand that she has her right to do what she wants, and try to remind myself about it, and that our bodies are not eternal. Yes, and everything can happen. Just I see what is going on, and but today we talked with her, and she let me come to her tomorrow, because yesterday she resisted even me to come, even to see her. Yes. So just I wanted to share this. It's not easy to see when my close person is and so strong resistance, and I see that I want to help, but I can't, and I just learn to accept what it is. Just wanted just to share this with you, Werner. You can comment something. Just I feel support when you when you tell.
Yes, yes. And the direction you have taken at the end is actually, that is the good direction. If you see somebody you love or you are close energetically, and you feel what they are doing is not good for them, you can of course tell them, hey, can you not try something else? And you have obviously the feeling that the hair treatments is not bringing any good, but rather is hurting her. But then she is the person that she is. And if she doesn't have any confidence in any alternative ways how to go about it, then you can talk as much as you want. All that it brings then is that it's giving bad feelings between the two of you. So you can ask her, you can offer her, you could try other things, but if you feel that no, she doesn't want, then accept she has to go her way. And if her way means that she's doing certain harmful things, then I guess she needs that experience on her way. And it's then better for you to accept that she is as she is, and to connect with her in a kind, in a loving way, than to get more and more frustrated and angry thinking of her that it's so stupid what she's doing, why is she not trying something that helps her?
Yes.
If people are not ready, then you can talk and talk, and they get just more and more distant and create more and more of a wall and maybe get aggressive. And of course, you're right, with somebody who is close, it's then really an exercise, a conscious exercise of acceptance. All right. I'm doing her a much better service if I can accept and keep, because of that, a good connection, than not accept and get myself all frustrated and angry, and all that I'm sending after that to her is also anger and destructive emotions, destructive energies. If she doesn't want to hear anything about it, then you accept it, all right, and connect in a friendly way, because then in that way you help her.
Yes, I see. Yes. Thank you, Werner, very much. It's very helpful to hear this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come? You're welcome. Before somebody seems to come. Dial, is that intentional that your camera is on?
Yes, yes. Hello, Werner.
Ah, yes, yes.
I
Hello,
have the
Dial.
question. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you somewhat, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I hear you.
Just maybe this is better.
Yes, now I
So
can see you better.
you already talked today. Yeah, you already talked today about Kundalini energy.
Yes.
And I have similar question, a little bit, maybe you may clarify it.
Yeah.
Because I see the practice of Kundalini rising energy from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
But there's another practice when the people start from the top of the head or
Yeah.
on the third eye, start meditating from the top. That means they bring cosmic energy to the body.
Yeah.
And there's another practice, the people, for example, Chinese Qigong, they making circles. First they lift energy, then they bring it down. So, and another things what I'm practicing Vipassana, they usually start from the top of the head and scanning all the body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes, and then going back up. So I see different approaches with these energies, and I see myself how I using it. For example, I was much more able to observing hara, breathing exercises in the level of hara, much better than in this area.
Yeah.
And I see still right now for me it's difficult to clearly feel the top of the head, and much easier I feel my legs and start feeling sensations from the leg top towards the top of the head.
Yes.
So does it mean that there's a different level of people? Some people still on the low chakras and they have to work in there on the low level. And some people have another level. They can start with the third eye, for example, or from the top of the head, or somehow these systems is working together. Can you kind of make it system from these absolutely different approaches?
Right, right. Can be quite confusing if you hear all that stuff. Huh? And absolutely, definitely, it's not that because of that you could make categories and evaluate them, that some are still in the lower part and some are already from the upper part. It's just different ways of approaching. As I said, when we were talking about Kundalini in the beginning, when we were talking with Anita, that you can do Kundalini exercises and be very aware of that energy and gradually feel how that energy is capable of rising more in the body. You can do exercises like this and focus on that, or you can do your other practices and never think of Kundalini, and it's still happening, that energetic change. Gradually, gently, you may not even be aware of it. And so what you have described has nothing to do with different stages that people have, but just different approaches. And one that is faced with all those possibilities and then chooses something that feels natural, feels right, then that is the right way to go about it, and you don't have to wonder whether maybe the other one would be better, or maybe first is this and then it's the other one. Or you may make a combination of different techniques. If it's not confusing, that's perfectly valid, that you create actually your own approach by picking aspects from different sides. Huh?
Okay, I see, Werner. Thank you very much.
Just do that which is natural for you. I don't think maybe I should do the other one because it would be better. Whether our approach is good or not, whether it's successful or not, is the sincerity with which we go about it. And that not that the other technique would be better or that technique is less good.
Okay, Werner. We'll continue to try and meditate. Thank you. Thank you, Hari Om.
Right. That's good. Hari Om. A lot of what we have been talking today is connected with dealing with the world, dealing with our experience in the world, dealing with the circumstances, dealing with the emotions, which are also circumstances. It's good not to forget. We have to learn as good as we can, direct the attention to the essence. But then, as long as we are appearing in a human form somehow or other, we have to deal with the circumstances. Somehow or other, we have to spend our time. And it's good to remember we have come here for that, to experience all this stuff. And with experiencing what is happening, we are getting a lot of challenges, and facing those challenges and learning to face those challenges ever more and more with equanimity. Observing, being aware, it is not as serious as we think it is. This whole damn world story is not as real as it is. It's, as I said many times, a magic show into which we have been diving consciously in order to gain experience. So all this talk, how to deal with the circumstances, how to deal with the emotions, it's good, because if we are not capable of dealing with that harmoniously and more detached, it always creates obstacles to connect consciously with the essence. And so it's good to learn to deal with all this harmoniously. At the same time, it's also good to remember, hey, it's a momentary experience. We have come here for that, to learn, to grow, to outgrow being a victim on this level. And then the two go hands in hand. The continuous reminder of connecting with the essence and more harmoniously, playfully, joyously deal with whatever is happening. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.